I'm thrilled to be talking to you in Vietnam right now. Okay, so 12 centuries ago in Tibet, a prophecy was made by a very learned being. And this is, it was called The Coming of the Kingdom of Shambhala. And this is, and when I tell the prophecy, you will hear the words Shambhala warrior. And we all know that that phrase is like a metaphor. It means a bodhisattva, a person like you who are me with a boundless heart. Or what we, each one, everybody alive has the capacity to be a bodhisattva. All right. There comes a time when all life on earth is in danger. In this time, great powers have arisen, barbarian powers. And although they waste their wealth in preparations to destroy each other, they do have much in common. And among the things they have in common are weapons of unfathomable destruction and technologies that can destroy the world. And in this time of great danger, where the life of all beings seems to hang by a frail thread, this is the time of the coming of the kingdom of Shambhala. Now, you can't go there because it is not a place. It exists in the hearts and minds of the Shambhala warriors. Now, nobody can tell a Shambhala warrior by looking at her or him because there's no uniforms, no insignias. They don't have barricades on which to stand and threaten the enemy. They don't even have any home turf, any homeland on which to move. Always they have to find their way across the terrain of the barbarian powers. Now there comes a time when great courage is required of the Shambhala warriors, moral courage and physical courage, because they are going to go into the heart of the barbarian powers and they're going to dismantle the weapons. And they're in weapons in every sense of the word. They're going to go where the armaments are made and deployed. And they're going to go into the corridors of power where the decisions are made. And the Shambhala warriors know that these weapons can be destroyed. They can be dismantled, taken apart. Why? Because they are manomaya. Now that is an ancient word that means mind made. They are made by the human mind, so they can be unmade by the human mind. Because the problems that we're facing today are not coming from some evil extraterrestrial force or some satanic deity or some unstoppable preordained force. No, the problems we face today and the death dealing we face arise from our ways of seeing and understanding our world. They come from our habits of mind. They come from our fears and our fear of facing our fears. So he said, that's he, I talked, this is that I should have said this right at the beginning. This prophecy is from Dugu Chogyal Rinpoche. He said then, so now the Shambhala warriors go into training. I said, how do they train? He said, they train in the use of 2 weapons. What are they? I asked. And he held up his hands, the way the dancers, the lamas, hold the ritual objects in the great lama dances of his people. And he said, one is compassion, and the other is insight into the radical interdependence of all phenomena. And you need both. One is not enough. You need the compassion because that provides the fuel, the motive force to get you to move out where you need to go, to do what you need to do. And what it boils down to is to not be afraid of the suffering of your world. And if you're not afraid of the suffering, then you can go and bring it into other conditions. But by itself, that's not enough, because that weapon of compassion is very hot. It can burn you out. So you need the other as well. This understanding of our interconnectedness with all things. And then you know that this is not a war between good guys and bad guys, but that the line between good and evil runs through the landscape of every human heart. And we know that the web of life that brings us forward connects us with all things. And that even the smallest act with a clear heart and good intention has results rippling through the whole web of life. That's true. However, that's a kind of cool knowledge. So you need the heat of the compassion. You need them both. The heat of the compassion and the cool understanding of our inter-existence. And as he said that, I knew that I had seen in the puja hall the monks chanting, and they were moving their hands and moving mudras. They were dancing, their hands were dancing the interplay of compassion and insight. So that was the prophecy. I was so excited. I was so excited that I took my leave and I went down. I just have to tell you this, even though there's somebody ringing my doorbell. And my family was with me. And my son was, and they were waiting for me to come for supper. And I rushed in and I said, oh, you won't believe what I just heard from Chogyal Rinpoche. I heard this prophecy, and I proceeded to tell them. And my son, Jack, was there at the same, right then, and he heard it all. And you remind me of him as I see. He was just about your age. He was just in his last year in college. And he listened and he said, but Mom, don't you, didn't he tell you how it's going to turn out? And I laughed and I said, oh, Jack, if he had done that, if he told me how this whole situation was going to turn out, I wouldn't have believed anything, any of it. And I said, don't you believe people who tell you how it's going to turn out. It's that uncertainty that keeps you alive, that keeps you alert, and so you keep that uncertainty, and that brings your attention, and then through that, your gifts, Koyan, will come forward, the bodhisattva in you.
Thank you.
Oh, well, all of you. And I did go